All right.
One second.
Oh, dude.
And is Sheriff Whipple here? All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is George Teal. I'm the chairman of the Douglas County Board of County Commissioners. My last name is spelled T-E-A-L. Welcome this morning. We have exciting news. This morning, we are initiating a lawsuit against the state of Colorado, specifically targeting legislation passed in 2019 and 2023, House Bill 19-1124 and House Bill 23-1100, which both dictated and prohibited our local law enforcement agencies from working with federal immigration authorities. It is the position of the Board of County Commissioners in this lawsuit that that is a violation of several tenets of the Colorado State Constitution, and it is our intent to bring suit specifically to address the illegal immigration crisis now present in this country. Federal policies along the southern border has resulted in an unlimited stream of illegal immigrants into our communities. And we see it as the duty of the county to push back against these state laws that prohibit us from working with federal authorities to keep Douglas County and our communities safe. That is the purpose of this lawsuit, and we do believe we will have victory. I'm followed by my colleague, Commissioner Abe Layden.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. I really appreciate those comments and certainly the support of all of our elected officials in Douglas County. Many of our colleagues are joining us here today. You know, this is about putting America first and putting Coloradans first. I'm the first Latino elected commissioner in Douglas County. I recognize the plight of those that are seeking refuge and asylum here in the United States. Douglas County is a great place to be. But Douglas County is a place where quality of life comes first, and we want to prioritize the rights of those who are legally here first. The numbers are stark. We heard many months ago that 40,000 Venezuelan migrants were being bused to Denver from Texas at a cost of about $120 million to the city and county of Denver. In Douglas County, we are not going to be cutting services to our residents, telling kids that they can't come to our rec centers, and failing to do the things that our citizens expect us to do on a regular basis to serve those that are coming here through improper channels. We do support the notion of work and work authorization, and we are pleased to be laboring in a very significant way with our elected colleagues along the Front Range to ensure that work authorization is an opportunity for those that wish to do so. But thank you so much for being here. I'm pleased to introduce my colleague, Commissioner Laura Thomas.
Thank you, Abe.
Absolutely.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Laura Thomas. I'm a Douglas County Commissioner. I'm also a native of Colorado. I have watched this state grow and change. I have lived in Douglas County for 32 years. Douglas County is different than any other county that I have ever been in. And I served with the Colorado State Patrol for 26 years. I stopped cars right out here on the interstate, and I know what it takes to keep this county safe. I represent, along with my fellow commissioners, 375,000 Douglas County residents, and it is our job to make sure that our county is safe. When I go to Denver, I see a much different community than the place where I grew up. And what I see in Denver is not what I want to see here in Douglas County. That is why we are here today drawing a line in the sand. We must allow our law enforcement officers to keep our community safe, to have the tools in their toolbox, the same ones that I used when I was a state trooper here. And that's why it's important when the undersheriff follows me that you listen carefully to what he is going to say, because he's going to tell you what this legislature can and should do to keep our community safe. instead of telling our law enforcement that they cannot communicate with the federal immigration authorities. That is just wrong, and that's why we are here today launching this lawsuit, because we are required to keep our community safe, and this is what it's going to take to do that. Under Sheriff Walcher.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Dave Walcher. I'm the Undersheriff for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Weekly could not be here today, and I'm honored to represent him and to be in this group of individuals. I can also say I'm a Colorado native, and I've also been in law enforcement in the Denver area for 43 years. And I've seen a lot of changes in our communities that I've worked in. We are so thankful in Douglas County, and this group behind me recognizes this, to have a very safe county. I think we have the lowest crime rate of any county in the metropolitan area, if not the Front Range. We actually, interestingly, have also the lowest incarceration rate in our jail of any agency in the metro area, and maybe on the Front Range. But we are blessed here, and the mission of all of us is to keep this county safe. That is my job, to keep Douglas County residents safe. And what we've seen over the past several years, dating back to 2019 in one of the bills that was discussed, is the fact that it limits our ability to work with ICE. It limits our ability. And what is fascinating about that, we have all these other federal partners that we cooperate with, the FBI, the Secret Service, Alcohol, Tobacco Enforcement, the Drug Enforcement Administration. We cooperate with our federal partners. And things like this tell us we can't even cooperate with ICE, who is a federal law enforcement agency. That is absolutely ridiculous. The other thing that's very interesting about the bill from 2023, what it says is in there is that we cannot renew or enter into jail space, in essence, renting jail space to ICE for ICE immigration purposes. Shame on the state of Colorado for telling Douglas County and Sheriff Weekly how to run his jail. That is absolutely ridiculous. That decision is between the sheriff and ICE, not the state of Colorado. If the state of Colorado wants to enhance public safety in our communities, they need to enhance penalties on things like car theft, on people who commit crimes with deadly weapons, on people that elude the police. That helps us. But what this is doing, it restricts us from what we do and how we work with our federal partners. So I stand with this group, very honored to be here today, but I stand for public safety in this county. And that's what we are going to do. We're going to try to be as safe as we can, and we want to keep it this way. So I appreciate the opportunity here. I'm not sure who's coming up here next, if it's someone from El Paso County or not. Sorry about that. Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to introduce now the County Attorney for Jefferson County, Jeff Garcia, for Douglas County, excuse me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. A month ago, the Board of County Commissioners asked my office to examine the problem that is created by these two bills, and it's our privilege to do so. When we do prevail in this matter, it won't be something only for the benefit of our county, but it will benefit our state and the nation, because we hope to create an environment where local governments and the state can once again cooperate with the federal government and address a national crisis. We hope that by the work we do, we are giving everyone a blueprint on how we can all work together and address a national problem. And we're doing it right here in Colorado. Thank you, everyone. And I believe I'm going to have El Paso County Commissioner Carrie Geithner come up. Geithner come up. Thank you.
Come on up, Carrie.
Thank you. Well, good morning. My name is Carrie Geithner. I am a commissioner from El Paso County, also the vice chair of the Board of County Commissioners. And last week, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County also voted to join this lawsuit with our friends here in Douglas County. We are proud to do that because just as you've heard from those who've already spoken today, we are very frustrated, and our sheriff is very frustrated with the way that his hands have been tied in the effort to keep our community safe. The laws that were passed in the legislature are out of touch with the needs of Coloradans and are truly sanctuary state policies that we have to fight back against if we're going to keep our community safe. So on behalf of the Board of El Paso County Commissioners, we are proud to join in on this effort and thank our Douglas County Commissioner friends for pushing this to the forefront of the concerns of today. Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Kellner. I'm the District Attorney for the 18th Judicial District, representing the people of Arapahoe, Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties. First, I want to thank the County Commissioners for Douglas County for their leadership, for recognizing that this is a serious problem, our inability to cooperate and collaborate with federal authorities when it comes to immigration issues. I want to echo what Under Sheriff Walcher eloquently said about some of the concerns that we see and hear about in law enforcement. To be clear, the idea that all of our crime in this state, of course, is not driven by immigrants. That's certainly not what people are suggesting here at this podium. What we are saying is that we are concerned about our inability to communicate effectively with federal authorities that we work with on a regular basis through all different kinds of task forces and other mechanisms that we use throughout law enforcement. And one of the things that my office recently accomplished was a lengthy investigation into multiple homicides and attempted murders involving a criminal gang called MS-13. This is a transnational criminal organization that, frankly, made its way into Colorado. And when we look at the roughly dozen people that were indicted in that case, several people sentenced for first-degree murder in that case, what I was struck by, going back through these case files, is that we did not have the ability to communicate with our federal partners in the immigration customs enforcement realm. We did not have the ability to talk to them about what may or may not be happening in our community. Now, am I going to tell you that that would have thwarted MS-13's ability to try to create havoc in our community? I cannot tell you that with certainty. What I know is that we are missing out on a critical opportunity to prevent crime in our community. And so I support the commissioners from Douglas County and El Paso County, and I hope other leaders throughout the state recognize the importance of this lawsuit and join as well. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Pardon me, Laura. Okay, well, we're also joined up here by several community leaders. Well, hang on, before I go that far. Thank you, Commissioner Geithner, for joining us. And thank you, DA Kellner, for coming today and speaking on this matter as our district attorney. We do have other community leaders that are behind us, both municipal leaders and leaders from the community. At this time, we'd be happy to take any questions. In the green.
So we know El Paso County has joined the lawsuit. Any other counties that we don't know of?
Yes, we have many others that have asked to join. I apologize, I lost count of how many wish to join us. El Paso County, however, is the only one that has taken formal action as a board to join at this time. We look forward to other partners as well.
Do you think it strengthens your lawsuit against the state?
Absolutely. This isn't just a Douglas County problem. This is a problem in every community in Colorado. We're disappointed that the state legislature chose to take action with these two bills that were passed into law and are now a part of the Colorado revised statute. But this is something that affects every community in Colorado. So we're happy to have additional partners, be they county or municipal, as they come forward.
So if these two laws didn't essentially bind your hands, as you all have said, then what would that communication with those federal offices, specifically ICE, look like? Is it just a sense of talking back and forth? What does that kind of look like?
I'd like to pass that back to Under Sheriff Walcher, because Under Sheriff, you've operated in that environment. Can you go into the procedures of the past that could be resumed?
In the past, sheriff's offices in this nation were able to act upon what are referred to as ICE detainers, and that is no longer the case based upon case law. But overall, here's what I would tell you. What we need is communication and cooperation, and probably most importantly, information sharing with our federal partners. You know, it's public information who comes and goes into a jail. That is public information. We would like to give that information out. We would like to receive information, but this would really, for me personally and for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, I would really like to see more information sharing so we can act upon what we learn from our federal partners, and they can act upon what they learn from us.
I know you guys have been very vocal about buses not being able to drop off the migrants here in Douglas County. Say this lawsuit doesn't fall the way you guys want. I mean, we have a light rail that can bring them down from Denver to right down here. It's a quick ride. How are you guys going to handle that?
Undersheriff, I think I'll let you take the first stab at that, and then we could go from there.
Via the county's ordinance that was just passed, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office has the responsibility to enforce that ordinance. So light rail doesn't come down into Douglas County. There's different methods here, but ultimately we're the enforcement arm of what the commissioners have set forward. We take that responsibility very seriously, and we will enforce that ordinance to the best of our ability.
Do we know if there's a head count yet of migrants in Douglas County? Are there any here living?
I'm not aware of a head count. The trouble is, again, we don't know who is here. The federal government, quite honestly, they don't know who is here or how they track individuals that come into this country, whether they are illegal or not. So we don't have that information. And there again, this comes down to information sharing and being able to enforce laws and not letting the state of Colorado get involved in how we enforce the laws and how we commit to public safety in this county.
And actually, that's a great question that you just asked, because we don't know. We're not even allowed to approach federal immigration agency to ask, hey, how many of these individuals are here in the community? That is prohibited by these two bills that we are challenging the constitutionality of. So you're the second person that has asked me that question today, and the answer still remains, we don't know, because these laws stand in the way of even answering your simple question. Any other questions?
Yes. If I could answer.
Commissioner.
Sure. Thank you. I would just like to go back to your question about the light rail. The ordinance that we passed targets buses that come into Douglas County that are not on a scheduled route. So the light rail is a scheduled route, so our ordinance does not pertain to what happens on the light rail, which does come into Douglas County just as far as Lone Tree. But I just wanted to clarify that it's unscheduled bus drops that we are targeting. So thank you for the opportunity to clarify that.
Yeah, and I appreciate my commissioner colleagues. This is a difficult issue, but it's a really good question. We lead with common sense here. And so, again, going back to the numbers, it's 40,000. So as the chairman of the Douglas County Homeless Initiative, we were wrestling with how to get to functional zero. We knew that Denver was dealing with about 5,000 unhoused individuals. Different issue, but related. And beckoning people to a cold weather climate without a plan is not compassionate. So we are immediately adjacent to, we're part of the Denver metro area. And this originally came up in the metro area county commissioners public meeting where we had that discussion. Thinking that 40,000 people can be bused here and not somehow bleed into Douglas County is just not common sense. I will reiterate that back in April, we did have an abduction from from an RTD bus station of a 25-year-old man by 2 Venezuelan migrants. That's a pending criminal trial, so we can't go into significant detail, but that's just one example. We're also seeing an increase in public school enrollment from migrant families. I don't believe the school district is here with us, but we know that number is about 50.
Good morning. My question is, so just to completely understand this lawsuit and these efforts, they're more of a preventative effort, or are you actually seeing safety concerns and safety issues within these communities?
Well, as I said to the prior question, we don't know how prevalent this is because our local law enforcement agencies are prohibited under the 2 laws cited that we're taking suit against from even asking the question. But this is a real concern in all of our communities. You have community members and community leaders up here from our municipalities and in the unincorporated areas who will tell you that this is a real concern. This is a concern for the people of Douglas County. Is it preventative on our part? Well, this is a proactive step in order to restore a method of communication and cooperation between the different levels of government here in the county, but here in the state, in order to address those concerns that are prevalent in our community.
Since you mentioned the lawsuit, that it was going to become a reality, we've talked to a few nonprofit organizations in Denver who are dealing with migrant families and people every day, and they say that this lawsuit could potentially just end up being a way for deportation. Is that the end goal, or is that even a part of the conversation when we talk about this lawsuit?
Well, that would not be a concern of ours. We do not make immigration law here in Douglas County. We would be a part of the solution in cooperation with federal agencies. Whether a person is deported from the United States based upon their immigration status is a federal question. And therefore, to be able to communicate with the federal agency to turn those people over to the federal agency, to ICE, that then puts the ball in the court of those that we all rely on to enforce federal immigration laws here in the United States. Other questions? Abe, did you want to jump in on that one too?
Just briefly, and I think that's a really important question. I want to be clear. We support legal immigration. I have a young man in my district who came here from Venezuela about 4 years ago. He had 2 uncles that were assassinated for a very small amount of property, and his mom was almost abducted twice. So he came here through proper legal channels, and he's been very public about the opportunity to now be an Uber driver in my district, in District 1, which is Lone Tree and Parker. Right now, it is people like this individual who have come here legally that are most impacted. Those that have gone through the proper channels are being really harmed by those that are trying to sidestep the process.
I'll just add that our purpose in this lawsuit is to provide more tools in the toolbox for our law enforcement. That is what our concern is so that communication is really a good thing. And that if we can communicate, if the sheriff's office can communicate, if the district attorney's office can communicate, that's what our goal is to provide communication and the ability for our sheriff's department, if they want to house individuals with ICE detainers, they have that opportunity. So that is our goal here. Thank you for that question.
Other questions?
Commissioner Teal, I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
we have folks online with questions. Let's see.
Absolutely. Would anybody like to ask a question online?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, I have 3 people that have questions. We're going to start first with Noah. Noah, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Gazette. So if some of these laws you cited were passed in 2019, why wait 5 years to initially challenge it? Has been filing this lawsuit been an ongoing discussion among El Paso and Douglas County?
Just to speak from the Douglas County perspective, this was an issue that first came up in 2019. I was still serving in municipal office as a member of the Castle Rock Town Council. And it was a question that we took up of how could we push back. The answer was the same. We would probably need to file suit against the state. And at the time, that was judged by my fellow colleagues on the Castle Rock Council to be a bridge too far. Commissioner Thomas, you were on the board in 2019. Would you like to address some of the discussions that occurred here on the board prior to my coming on board?
You know, I'll just say the reason we are here today is the totality of the circumstances. We are seeing what is going on in Denver, and we do not want that coming here to Douglas County. It is not safe. And that's why we talked to our county attorney, and I think we have put in now 7 different steps in place because we want to keep Douglas County the wonderful place it is to live, work, and play. So it is the totality of circumstances of everything coming together, kind of like a perfect storm, and that's why we are all here today. Thank you.
So I was on the board in 2019 as well. Thank you for that, Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Teal. But the 40,000 number from Venezuela is significant. And I just want to go back to the policies of the Trump administration that increased really the opportunity to enforce federal immigration law. Colorado and Denver had a response to that federal immigration posture to make it de facto, if not de jure, a sanctuary city and county and a sanctuary state. And any immigration website that you look at throughout the nation points to Colorado as being a sanctuary state. Again, when we are beckoning people to a cold weather climate without the resources and a plan, that is not compassionate. So places like Chicago and New York have already reacted to this, and we've seen them enact policies to address the influx. We are similarly just trying to ensure that Americans and Coloradans that are legally here are prioritized. Yep.
Thank you again. To be clear, I'm from El Paso County, and this is a conversation that we have been having in El Paso County over the last couple of years. If you remember, Commissioner Teal mentioned that this one of these laws was passed just last year. So it's continued to get more prohibitive, and I think that is the escalation and the lack of ability to deal with these circumstances is really what brought this to a head for us to talk about getting involved in this lawsuit. And I want to say we probably have a few more, actually, from what I'm hearing of individuals in El Paso County. And our sheriff, when we voted on this at our commission last week, told about a very specific instance that he had already experienced where he was not able to work with federal immigration officials. And this was a situation where there was an individual who had committed sex crimes, allegedly committed sex crimes against children. And he did not have the tools to be able to make sure that individual could be connected with immigration officials. And we may have some differences of opinion, so I won't obviously speak for anyone outside of El Paso County, but if we have folks who are committing sex acts against children, I'm absolutely going to say if federal immigration needs to get involved and deport those folks, that is not something that I'm going to be shy about. If we have folks that are hurting people in our communities, we absolutely can't stand for that in El Paso County.
Other online questions?
Thank you, Commissioner. Next would be Ryan Mills. Ryan, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, this is a very technical question. I just need to confirm, this lawsuit has been filed, or are you announcing that you will be filing it?
Yeah. County Attorney Garcia.
Thank you, Commissioners. This morning at 8:30, the complaint was filed, and as I was walking down to the press conference, the court has accepted it.
Great, thank you.
Further questions online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no further questions at this moment.
Okay. Returning back to the room. Any further questions? Senator Weens.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for doing this. This is an issue I've been following pretty closely since in 2006, I was the author of Senate Bill 90, which prohibited local governments from passing ordinances to prohibit law enforcement from collaborating with each other, and particularly with collaboration with ICE. That legislation required that we keep track of that information. It required each municipality to report to the legislature every year on May 1st how they're doing on all of that. And it also had some teeth in it, because if you didn't comply, you weren't allowed to receive DOLA grants from the state government. It was a significant piece of legislation, and it passed by a pretty significant margin. In 2009, the Senate Audit Committee, or the State Audit Committee, did an audit report that actually went through how this was working, and people were doing it. People were participating in it. We were gathering data. There were some things we could have done better, but it was valuable. It was very valuable. And even back then, we were getting 20,000+ of these notifications, and that was a long time ago compared to the situation that we have right now. And of course, when the majorities in the legislature passed, I believe Senate Bill 90 was the very first law that was taken off the books, which I found kind of interesting. So I'm sorry that you're having to take these steps to try to at least get us back to where we have been successfully in the past. And I really commend your efforts to doing that. And it's something that local governments have to just take into their own hands. And I think there's plenty of evidence out there to support your case. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. At the risk of speaking for my colleagues, this is work we're happy to do for the people of Douglas County. Any further questions? Okay, well, you've got a whole lot of people up here who I'm sure would like to have their voices heard as well. Thank you all for joining us today, and this concludes the press conference. Thank you all.